Hi, boys and girls, and welcome to Pajama Prayers. It's so good to have you with us tonight. I love spending time with you and look forward to meeting with you every Saturday evening. We're going to begin our show with a game of hidden pictures. I love hidden pictures. I hope you'll enjoy tonight's game.
Can you find the hidden objects before the timer runs out? Can you find a shoe? Where is the pencil? Where is the slice of pizza? You're doing great! Can you find a mallet? Look over here. Where is the handbag? Do you see a football? Can you find the fork? Where is the banana? What about a sailboat? Can you find a sock? Awesome! Look over here. Can you find a baseball bat? Do you see a cupcake? What about a funnel? Can you find a hat? Do you see an envelope?
I hope you enjoyed that, boys and girls. I always enjoy a good game of hidden pictures, and this one was really fun for me too. Let's go ahead and introduce our story for tonight. The name of our story is The Boy and the Ocean, and it's a great story written by Max Lucado. I know you're going to love it. So settle down and get comfortable and get ready for tonight's story, The Boy and the Ocean by Max Lucado. The Boy and the Ocean by Max Lucado. The little boy rolled over in his bed and opened his eyes. Through his window, he could see the ocean. Big and blue, rolling waves, water crashing on the beach. The little boy stood at the window and searched for the end of the ocean. He couldn't see it. He could see the ships on it. He could see the birds above it. He could see the horizon stretching across it. But the little boy couldn't see the end of it. He couldn't see the end of the ocean. "Would you like to play in the ocean?" his mother asked. The little boy stood on the edge of the water with his mother. She took his hand and they waded into the surf. When the water covered his feet, he looked up at her. When it reached his knees, he took a breath and squeezed her hand. When the wave rushed against his chest, she laughed. He did too. The two sat in the sand and let the waves splash around them. God's love is like the ocean, my little boy, she said. It's always here. It's always deep. It never ends. God's love is special. The little boy spent the day playing near the ocean. He counted starfish. He built sand castles. He searched for shells. But most of all, he watched the ocean. He could see the clouds above it. He could feel the tide within it. He could taste the salt inside it. But he could never see the end of it. He could never see the end of the ocean. That night, as the moonlight stretched across the sea and landed on his face, he listened to the waves. Slap, slap, slap against the sand. Go to sleep, my little boy, his mother whispered. The ocean will not leave. The ocean will not change. The ocean is like God's love. Always here, always deep. It never ends. God's love is special. And so the boy slept with the sound of the ocean in his ears. The next day, the little boy looked out a different window at the mountains. High and tall, white-tipped, touching the clouds. The little boy looked from side to side to see the end of the mountains. He couldn't see it. He could see the trees growing among them. He could see the snow glistening on top of them. He could see the birds flying around them. But he couldn't see the end of the mountains. Would you like to take a hike in the mountains? His father asked. He took the boy's hand, and together they started up the mountain trail. When the leaves scattered over the boy's feet, he looked up at his father. When the wind shook the tall trees, he took a breath and he squeezed his father's hand. When they looked out over the great valley, the father smiled. The boy did too. The two sat on a rock and looked around them. God's love is like the mountain, my little boy, Father said. It's always here. It's always big. It never ends. God's love is special. The two spent the day playing in the mountains. The boy splashed in the creek. He picked flowers in the meadow. He listened to the singing birds. But most of all, he looked at the mountains. He could see the sky above them. He could feel the wind blow through them. He could hear the water that bubbled between them, but he could never see the end of them. He could never see the end of the mountains. That night, as the moon appeared from behind the peaks, the boy thought of the mountains and smiled. Go to sleep, my little boy, his father whispered. The mountains will not leave. The mountains will not change. The mountains are like God's love. Always here, always tall. It never ends. God's love is special. And so the boy slept with thoughts of the mountain in his dreams. The next day, he ran on the beach and swam in the water. He chased his puppy up the mountain trail and looked for flowers. When the day ended, he and his parents lay on the grass and looked at the night sky. Stars everywhere, twinkling, shimmering, diamonds in the dark. He looked as far as he could see, to see the end of the sky. He couldn't see it. He could see the moon, yellow and round. He could see the clouds, puffy and fat. He saw a star race from one side of the sky to the other, but he couldn't see the end of the sky. "Would you like to count the stars?" his mother and father asked. So they tried. 12 over there, 24 over there. There were too many. When he reached 100, the boy looked up at his mother. When the wind turned chilly, his father held him close. His parents looked up into the big sky and became quiet. So did he, for a while. But then the boy spoke. "God's love is like the night sky," he told them. "It's always here. It's always big. It never ends. God's love is special." The boy, the mother, and the father stayed for a long, long time near the ocean, close to the mountains, beneath the sky, surrounded by God's love. And they smiled. The end. That was a great story, don't you agree? I really enjoyed it. Our scripture for tonight is found in the book of Psalms, Psalm 136. And it says, "Give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, and his love is eternal." Well, boys and girls, we are all out of time for Pajama Prayers tonight. I'm so glad you joined us. I hope you enjoyed this show, and you will join us again next Saturday night, again at 7 o'clock. Turn to someone with you and say, "You are worth more than you know, capable of more than you think, and love more than you can imagine." Boys and girls, I love you to pieces. Have a great night.